past 24 hours, we've seen nearly $1 billion worth of liquidations, over $832 million worth of shorts. This is responsible for pushing the crypto market up by an order of magnitude. We saw Bitcoin come up nearly 6%, Ethereum really shined, up over 20%. Turning to the greatest gainers over the past 24 hours, Virtual Protocol doing incredibly well. Brett, Pepe, Ina, Pengu, Uni, ETH, LDO, and Sui. It's been a while, but we've actually started to see the stable coins in the list of the greatest losers over the past 24 hours. It's been a long time for that. If you were wondering what caused the big price surge inside the crypto market, of course your prayers were answered with the new Pope being ordained. Or could it be because of the US and UK unveiling a trade deal framework? The truth is, we'll never actually know. Smart money moves behind the scenes and it doesn't telegraph by front page news until they've profited. What's interesting is that we saw inside the major indices very little movement in terms of upward price progression. It wasn't too bad, but it was nothing supporting the move inside crypto. And we did see a bit of a sell down on the end of session. Is this the start of a much larger move up, or is it a fake signal? Let's find out and let's run the numbers. Welcome back everyone, I'm Ken from CryptoTradingKS and the CTKS Method. If you're new, a very warm welcome and welcome back CTKS family. What I'm looking at right here is the probability of a rate cut by the FOMC on the next meeting date of 18th of June 2025. Yesterday it was 21.2, today, right now at the time of this recording, it's 16.5. Now, what does that mean? Because it means something really special. If you're inside the crypto market, the indices, commodities, you need to pay attention to what is going on in here. When you have a decrease in terms of the probability of a rate cut, what that actually means is the US 2, the US 10 will come up, the DXY will come up also. That will cause gold and silver and commodities to bleed. It has a lot of other effects as well. If the DXY comes up, the DXY, the US dollar currency index, it means that the euro dollar and the Aussie dollar are coming down as well. In yesterday's video, I explained that Bitcoin is an incredible risk-on and risk-off indicator in terms of predicting where the major markets could go. We've seen Bitcoin absolutely explode upwards. We would anticipate, if we get confirmation through the major indices, that the major indices are about to break up. In other words, go to the upside. And what do we see? Tesla came up 3.11%. Tesla is a very risk-on, risk-off stock, so it's very important to keep your eye on Tesla. Therefore, it is really early days inside the stock market for a turnaround, if we see that. It's a very good idea when you're trading and investing to keep your eye on the stock market fear and greed index. It's currently 62. It was a pretty anemic rally inside the main markets. That just means it wasn't a very good rally. We do have 62 in terms of the fear and greed rating, and we've seen fear coming out of the market recently. That's leading to higher prices. Inside the crypto market, we saw really good performance by Bitcoin, outstanding performance by ETH. Now, why the disparity? Why did Bitcoin come up 6% and ETH come up over 20%? ETH has been severely beaten around the head for months on months on months. Now, what has that got to do with anything? It means that the shorts inside Ethereum all got absolutely whacked, Chicago style. And looking into the memes, which are always a really good idea to do because they represent either risk on or risk off. They're very risk sensitive, and therefore they can throw really good signals if the market is turning around. What drove the markets up in the past trading session was undoubtedly all of these short liquidations in excess of $830 million worth. When the markets get too pessimistic, What do the institutions do? They whack all the people who are adversely negative. In other words, when everybody is thinking exactly like you are thinking, it's time to change your thinking, either to the upside or to the downside. Could this rally have more to go? Could there be more upside liquidations? Undoubtedly, of course. But one thing that you want to remember, when you get a big push up, a retracement is very, very normal. If you think it's only going in one direction forever, just look back at the price action. You'll find that is absolutely not the case and has never been the case. It doesn't matter what stories other people will tell you, just look at the price action for yourself. In order to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love, you must cut emotion out of your buying and selling decisions, and that's really tough to do. Question therefore becomes, how do you cut fear out of the trading and investing equation? You must be very systematic with how you look at the market. For example, inside the cheat sheet, there are 7 rows, and I'll just take you through it in a slightly different way today. Okay, let's have a look at it from here. One of the key things that you want to look at is the VIX, or the fear gauge of the main markets. We saw a bit of a kick up and then a retracement down, but it hasn't been that significant. In fact, inside row 1, it's only a 4.54% reduction. We know why the DXY came up. We know why the 10 and the 2 came up. It has to do with the Fed. You really want to get to a point where you understand what's happening and why inside the markets. We also remember that the major market indices actually sold down at the end of the session. That's because the VIX is starting to come up, not by much, but by a bit. That will throw negative price momentum inside things. Row 1 and row 2 are the risk on, risk off indices. And we can see across row 2, we had quite a deal of green. Now remember, I was saying gold and silver would get hit. The Aussie dollar would get hit. If you're trying to look at a price chart through this just one solitary statistic, I would suggest just looking at the price chart. I'll get into that a little bit later, but you never want to make buy or sell decisions just looking at a single price statistic, either the price, the percentage change, or anything else, the absolute amount of change. We can see that because the VIX decreased, we had upward momentum inside the major market indices, but this doesn't tell us anything realistically about what kind of structure was hit, if we've got upward progression, if we've got lower progression. Now, when we look at the futures, we can see that they're moving in alignment with the VIX coming up. They're slightly coming down. It's really important to stack probabilities. And when we look inside row 4, we know the major market went up, but not by much. And we had some really good upward momentum. Of course, MicroStrategy did quite well because it's connected not only to the stock market, but also to crypto. And look at total crypto market cap. It threw on a mere $213 billion worth of market capitalization. Not bad for that $830+ million worth of short liquidations. Okay, so when we're looking at USTD dominance, that fell dramatically. Now, what does this mean? It means that people are pulling their money out of stablecoins and putting it in to cryptos. That's as simple as it gets. What about row 6? Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, and Binance Coin. We saw some really good momentum. And of course, Ethereum Classic is incredibly linked to ETH. So we would anticipate these two go up together. Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin are linked to Bitcoin. So that's why they're row 6. Inside row 7, we saw fantastic momentum, and inside the memes, it was out of control, which is exactly what we'd expect. There is a specific rule that governs how the alts, anything that other than Bitcoin, relates to any upward price progression inside Bitcoin. If you know the rule, please drop it in the comments. And if you're not sure of the rule, please look at the comments. They're awesome. Taking the emotion out of your trading and investing decisions is incredibly important. Now, one thing that we saw just recently, bank health started to kick up. This is very, very important. The banking system is the linchpin of the economic system. Economic systems are built on debt. Debt is built on cycles. This kick up in bank health, look at what happened to Bitcoin. We are seeing bond market optimism, stock market optimism, the actual key important S&P 500 or SPX coming up, and look at Bitcoin. Even despite net Fed liquidity actually decreasing. I'd like to do a shout out to our amazing global family. You're just incredible people. And if you're new to the community, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss all the alpha that we talk about. And there's a lot of things that we cover here that you won't find anywhere else. When we look inside the S&P 500 futures, the NASDAQ futures, the Russell futures, and the Dow futures, notice this weakness just eventuating at this particular time. When you get divergences between Bitcoin and the stock market, Bitcoin is basically saying, yeah, I'm not really buying that. I believe that you will kick up. But still, it's one of those things that we must pay attention to. So just keep your eyes on the futures for future direction. When we look at the S&P 500 from a structural level perspective, we can see that at 56.72 there was overhead structural resistance. So what we did, we came up, rejected, found a level of support around that 56 level, got through it, and then started to weaken throughout the session. In other words, the sellers inside the main market have been too strong. And we're seeing also with the futures a continuation to the downside. When we zoom out and look at the S&P 500 compared to Bitcoin, what we actually see is there's a lot of directional correlation and also a lot of internal correlation between them. Bitcoin is still going for it. And that's a really good positive. One of the things that you should always be aware of, price is always moving in a wave. It moves up and down, up and down. This is what it does. And if we get a downward momentum, it's not the end of the world. It's normal stuff. In fact, when markets sell off wildly, we do expect upward momentum. We expect that sharp angles can reflect or reverse. This is not a cause for concern or anything like that. It's just things that is the reality of the market that you are in. If it's a reality, it's a reality, and you need to live with it. Let's have a look structurally at Bitcoin. What I've just put here are SCs or Stanfield zones. They're combinations of SLs or Stanfield levels, also known as CTKS levels. Now, why do we do this? Because we look to the right of price action. Now, why do we do that? Because we know just around that 105 area, we're going to encounter a lot of sellers. And then we've got a fairly good gap up to around that 109, 110 area. If we have future upward price projections or momentum, we're going to get that kind of action. You can see in here around that 101, we came up into structural overhead resistance. And why do we look at this? Because we need to know where the sellers are coming in to seek to push price down. If they can't push it down, it's going to push up. If you're new to the channel, all of this is in Level 2 Standard Certification, where you can learn how to do it yourself. The major thing is to understand how to read structure. If it gets above, it's going to the next level above, but it may mean that it just wanders around for a while and then gets there. It doesn't mean instantaneously, and a lot of people do tend to think this. We had a big push up right here and people would just expect it to go up or go up or go up like that. But it doesn't work that way because structure is everything. You get price waves simply because of structure. Structure causes price waves. In order to take emotion out of your buying and selling decisions, you must literally know where structure is before structure prints. That is what the CTKS method does. It is extraordinarily powerful. So from a downside perspective, if we do get a retracement into this zone, the 101-250 zone, and we manage to hold it, that would signify that we could push up to around that 105. If we don't manage to hold this 101,250, that signifies a move back to around that 98,700 mark. See how easy it is to know. There is no stress, no pressure, no fuss in this. We say what price does, we're just prepared for it, for an upside, for a downside, and for a consolidation as well. To understand how the markets could move, we need to understand structure. When we look at total crypto market cap, this is literally the entire market capitalization of the crypto market. And what does it mean? We had a positive CTKS gap here up to around where price is now. And if you're wondering why price is suddenly stalling here, there's a fairly good reason for it. It exploded through this positive CTKS gap up until structural overhead resistance. CTKS family, please let me know what rule you believe just defines this kind of price action. Now, the one thing that we know, when the sellers come in, and it's exactly what these SZs are for, this is the culmination of a lot of different levels of sell expression inside the market. They're already here, and we know that looking towards the right, we're going to either get consolidation, a downtrend, or an uptrend. Now, what is more likely? That's the key thing. Some people might say, oh, Ken, you just covered off 3 directions. Well, price does tend to move in a wave, people. Always remember that the markets are trading 24/7 by 365. You've got a lot of different countries coming in at a lot of different times, either pushing liquidity up because of optimism or pulling it down because they're taking profits and losing confidence in market momentum. Therefore, this is exactly why it can go in 3 different dimensions. Unfortunately, when people see a big move like this, they just automatically think it must stratospherically go up forever. Just like this particular this one here. Yeah, that's got to go up forever. Hang on a second. It struck structure and got whacked. There are literally thousands of videos on this channel that you can learn about structure, learn how to interpret it. It's really, really important to do. And you can do all that absolutely free of charge. So when you look at structure, just be aware, when you're coming up to structural overhead resistance, you anticipate something like this. Now, of course, elite service members know how strong this structure is, and that is the key. A quick piece of housekeeping. All of the charts inside the CTKS Method service for this month have been released, so you can update them on your charts. And if you're having any problems with your indicators, please reach out and directly message me. If you would like to pick up that watch list, just go across to ctksmethod.org and just scroll down until you find Mastering Price Action. You can just download it right there. You'll find it's invaluable. My goal in doing all of this is to help you to trade with confidence, and there are a lot of different videos here that can help you. That's the official ticker list that you can just hook into. And here are examples of different trades. Trading is undoubtedly the new skill of the future. It's going to be incredibly important. So don't forget to pick up the cheat sheet. It's completely free. Rule 114 is very useful in markets like this. Markets penalize certainty. We had over $830 million worth of short liquidations because the shorts were absolutely certain the markets were going down. When people are absolutely unequivocally certain, unfortunately, the institutions go in the opposite direction. Therefore, we must be very careful of certainty. Always keep your 3-dimensional thinking going at all times. Have a strategy for your up movement, your consolidation movement, and your down movement at any specific time. Don't just cover off one scenario. It must go down. What if it goes up? Or if it goes up, what if it comes down? People are taught to just be like light switches. Either it's going up or it's coming down. Inside financial markets, price is always doing this. It's moving in a wave. Therefore, the situation is that the wave may be going up, but you might get in as price is coming down and say, oh no, I've got it wrong, I'll get out. And then it reverses on you and you say, oh, okay, I'll get in. And then it reverses on you, you get out. This is normal. But if you're equipped and armed emotionally before anything else, by having no emotion whatsoever, only understanding, and that price is just always moving in a wave, you can take advantage of these up and down momentums. This particular time caught a lot of people off guard, and if it caught you off guard, that's no issue whatsoever. Opportunities reset every single day. And remember, it's the tough times that actually make you. The easy times are nothing. The tough times are everything. You get strengthened in the tough times, and you get weakened in the easy times. Therefore, I would recommend be stronger, better, and smarter than yesterday. Anything that you can do to improve just a little bit, it could be just 1% per day. That is a massive improvement in a year. And year after year after year, you will become something absolutely spectacular. Always remember, keep yourself really positive. Every day you can show kindness, integrity, and gratitude because the universe wants you to succeed. There is no competition with other people, only a competition with yourself to be just slightly better than the day before, knowing that opportunities and life reset daily. Things could be really dark, but that doesn't matter. In the darkness, you find your strength. Always remember that life pullbacks will give you the strength for the next life rally. If you are dedicated and committed, you will win over the long term, especially if you focus on learning and not blaming. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. Bye for now. And please let me know, what do you think of this particular quote or the idea, tough times make you? I would be really interested in your comments. God bless. Have a great one ahead, and bye for now.